When you're speeding down the road of life and you come to an intersection, which way do you go? Welcome to Plot Twist Media's Crossroad.
Which road do you take? Do you take the easy road, or do you take the road less traveled, like our guest today? I'm Phillip Deems.
And I'm Kevin O'Neill. And today's, actually I was going to say our today's
Don't talk
host,
about the host.
It can't be host.
I'm the host.
Our today's guest is Secily Wilson. Welcome to the show, Secily.
Hey, thank you. I'm so glad to be here, back with you, Phil.
Secily, I can't tell you how many stories we probably have we could talk about, but
Yeah.
We've known each other a long time, but this is our 5th or 6th episode, I don't remember.
Somewhere around there.
So we're excited to have you. I've been talking to you for a while, so I'm glad to get you here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, he's said so great,
many
wonderful things about
He
you.
lied.
Yeah, so.
He lied.
No, it's all good.
My God.
It's all good. I tried to find some dirt.
Good. I buried it.
Trust me, if it's under there, he finds it.
I buried it.
She knows.
Yeah.
I can ask around.
That investigative reporting skill comes out. There you go.
I'm not in the news anymore. You don't have to worry.
Yeah, right.
I'm an ad guy, so it's all good. But we're excited to have you here. Secily and I worked together for many years at WKMG. I know that your career goes way back. Tell me where it all started for you.
Macon, Georgia.
Yes.
Really?
Macon, Georgia is where I started.
I know where that is.
Yeah. Macon, Georgia at Fox 24. Yeah. Okay. I was hired by a guy named Ron Wildman, and he hired me literally right on the spot. It was kind of weird, because I was actually working in Jacksonville, Florida. I was working at a hospital, University Hospital, and I was telling everybody, I'm going to be on TV. Oh, sure, Secily, sure. I'm like, no, I'm going to be on TV. Yeah, I'm not going to be here long. I'm just here for a little while.
Get my autograph now.
Right.
Shake my hand now.
Right. Shake. Get the autograph now. And they're like, okay, yeah, right. But I remember, because I wanted to be in the business so badly, that I was watching a woman in Jacksonville. Her name was... Yeah, I forgot.
Was she on CBS? Or?
Yeah, she was on CBS. Joyce Morgan, thank you very much.
She
would kill me. You know Joyce?
Joyce is my good buddy.
Oh my gosh, Joyce was my mentor.
Oh my God, she's fantastic.
Yes. So
see how surprising things are, organic. I've known you so long, I didn't know you knew Joyce.
Oh my, Joyce is the reason why I'm in this business.
Joyce and I were tight back then.
Oh my gosh, so Joyce...
She came from Atlanta down to Jax. She was a cheerleader for the...
There.
He really does know her. I thought he was making it up.
I know,
I'm not making that crap up.
I didn't make it up?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so Joyce hired me. Well, Joyce recommended. I had lost my job at the hospital, and because I parked in the doctor's parking space.
Really?
I don't know why that's a problem.
Really?
Why is that an issue?
I don't know. Well, I worked overnight, so I was working like the midnight shift.
I would have parked in the spot too.
Hello?
Please.
I'm like,
and those guys they don't come in on Fridays, so what difference does it make?
What difference does it make, right?
They had beepers back then. It didn't matter.
So I thought, right? I park in the spot. Someone, busted me out, ratted me out. And I'm like, okay, so they fired me. I'm like, really? You're firing me?
Yeah.
For that? I mean, I'm a woman. I'm like, it's at night. I mean,
I want to be close to the door, for God's sake.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a godsend, actually, because I remember going to church one evening, and Joyce was actually the speaker when I walked into the church.
She was strong, man.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Joyce Morgan. I'm going to stay here until 2 a.m. in the morning if I have to, because I'm going to meet her. And so I remember waiting until after everything was over, and I went over and introduced myself, and I said, hey, I'm a recent graduate, and I want to get into the business. Can you offer me some tips? She said, I'm on the air in the morning at whatever time it was. It's a morning anchor position. And she said, call me. And we'll talk. So I called her right at the time that she said. And she says, well, you know what? Let me call you back in about an hour. She called me back in about an hour. She says, well, I may have something for you, but you're going to have to drive to Macon, Georgia. I'm like, oh, okay, no worries, And she said, so I want you to meet with this gentleman. And so I went on that day to Macon, Georgia. Didn't know anyone in Macon, Georgia. Right? I'm like, okay. Get there, and he pops my resume tape in, right?
Yeah.
But I had only been doing some volunteer work at the PBS station, so I really didn't have a large body of work. Yeah. I really didn't have it, but I did what I could.
They saw something.
Right? And so he popped it in, and literally, Phil, Kev, he popped it right out, and I'm like, freaking A, I suck.
Just that quick, I'm out.
Right? I suck. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So he said, let's go back to my office. He went back to the office, and he says, when can you start? And I looked kind of bewildered. I'm like,
wow.
What you talking about, Willis?
Seriously?
Right?
Start what?
That's literally what I was thinking. I'm like, what do you mean start what? He's like, well, basically what I'm trying to tell you is if Joyce Morgan sent you, that's all I really needed to know.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I was like,
that's a great story.
And I tried to contain my
of course, be
composure. You're like, sure, okay.
Me and Joyce.
Me and Joyce are like this.
We're like this, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I got out of that studio, and I'm like,
I know, I would have too. Yeah. Skipping.
Yes. I was doing the happy dance all day, babe.
Yeah, man.
Happy dance all day. And so that's literally how I got into the business.
Did you start out as a field reporter?
I started out as a reporter, and I quickly moved into the anchor seat and was the main anchor of the station.
Really?
Yeah. And you know what?
As timing,
Timing is everything.
It is.
It's like a crossroad,
quite
frankly. And it's timing. And so I was there as the anchor for 6 years, I believe, and I got married. Well, I was engaged, and so it just so happened my fiance lived in Tampa, and I went one weekend to visit him in Tampa. And we were sitting in the river, by the river walk or something, and at a restaurant, and I saw this guy reading a media magazine, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, Eric, he's reading a media magazine. He's like, okay, what are you going to do? Go over and introduce yourself? I'm like, yeah.
Why not?
Right?
Why not?
So I go over and introduce myself to this guy. And I says, hey, how are you? I see you're reading the magazine. Are you in the business? He says, yes, I'm the new general manager.
Boom.
No
Hello
way. No
for the
way.
Fox station here in Tampa. I just moved from South Carolina. I think you came in from Carolina, and I'm like, wow, well that's great. Well, nice to meet you. I'm the anchor at the Fox 24 in Macon. And I said, well, nice to meet you. I'm here visiting my fiance, so I'd love to say hello. And that was it. Right? Turns out when he finally asked me to marry him, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to come down and I'm going to drop off some tapes at the different stations in the air. I just happened to stop by WTVT, the Fox station, right? But I had totally forgotten about that guy, right? Because it was maybe a few months or so later, and I totally forgot about him. And so when I got there, Phil Metlin was the news director. And Phil said, okay, well, let me see your tape. And he popped my tape in. And he popped it out. And I'm like,
same thing.
Freaking A.
You shouldn't have. You'd have been like, there it is.
You should have been. I'm in.
There it is.
I'm like, no.
Same thing.
No, I thought.
I'm a 6-second watch.
But think about that. Right?
All you need to see is 6 seconds.
6 seconds.
In fact, that's all your reel should be, is just the first 6 seconds. And then just have it end. And say thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And you're welcome.
And you're welcome.
So true.
So I'm telling you what happened. It was so funny because he said, okay, well, let's go and talk to my, I want you to go meet our general manager. I was like, okay, I totally forgot about this guy, right? I walk in and he looks at me and I look at him and he goes, haven't I met you before? I'm like,
he remembered you from being out there. Wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. He says, take her to lunch and come back and let's talk. And we went to lunch, came back, they offered me the gig right there. So here I jumped from a 122 market.
Wait, 13 back then?
Top 10.
Yeah, there were 10?
Yeah, we're 10. 10. I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Man. But you know what? Your personality it opens up doors.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you went up and you met this guy out in the parking lot. I mean, in the park, wherever he was sitting there. I mean, what are the odds that
What are the odds of that?
Yeah.
But again, I think that's part of the whole Crossroads. You know, you have an opportunity that's right here in front of you.
That's exactly right.
What are you going to do? Or
well,
just
so many
say,
people don't see it. They just don't see it.
They don't see it. But
open your eyes, man.
Open your eyes, and sometimes when that opportunity presents itself, freaking walk through the door.
Yeah.
Walk through the door.
So did you say, just so kind of recap a little bit, did you say that your entire life you wanted to be in news and you wanted to be, okay, and so the Crossroad was getting fired, and that was the moment. That's such a great story.
Isn't that crazy?
That was the moment.
Because at first you'd think, I just got fired, but then boom, this door opened. It was meant to be.
It was meant to be because I'm like, because I told them, I'm like, I'm not going to be here very long. I'm just telling you. I'm just here. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, Cecily, okay, yeah.
So you sabotaged your job by parking.
Yeah, I think you did.
Unbeknownst to me. Unbeknownst to me. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to be safe at midnight. I'm in the hood right now, right? The hospital is literally right in the hood. And I had to go and walk to the building. I'm like, negative.
Not safe.
Right?
No.
I'm just going to park here and I'll walk out early in the morning before the doctors get here and move my car. Busted. But they did me a favor, so I can say to them, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, look, I was telling somebody the other day, there are things that happen that you just kind of, after they happen, nothing scares you anymore, and I think there are those moments that crossroad that happens, and like myself and Kevin has talked about some as well, but I think the trick is to see them and seize them, to do something about it. So, we always talk about these things, and with Harris and some of the other folks we've talked about, they always talk about that one moment, and we all have them. We all have them.
In fact, let me just go back a little bit further on my backstory, because I started I grew up as an Air Force brat, and so my stepfather was in the military, and we ended our military career in Valdosta, Georgia. And you would think that even at that time, it was like the early 80s. 84 is when I graduated. I probably shouldn't say that, but
it's all good.
Yeah, right?
It's all good. So, you're talking to two guys that there with you.
But he had a stroke.
Yeah, but he had a stroke.
But had a stroke. It's my tagline.
Right.
Yeah.
So I started there, and even in the early 80s, I didn't see a lot of African-American women on the air. There was one in Atlanta. Monica Kaufman.
I remember Monica. She's still there.
She's still there, but she's off the air. She's retired now, right?
Oprah wasn't on Chicago yet?
No. So here's the story on that one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I want to be the first black talk show host. Right? So I went to the University of Georgia, and I'm in between classes right there, right? And I see this commercial. I'm like, my back is away from the TV because I was doing something, I don't know. But then I hear the commercial, watch the new Oprah Winfrey show. And I'm like, so I turn around to look to see who this Oprah Winfrey chick is all about, right? And I'm like, and I see this black face, and I'm like,
I'm not the first.
Already happened.
I literally hyperventilated and started crying. I called my mom on the phone, and I'm screaming, and she's like, she's panicking because she's thinking something's
wrong.
Something's happening to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the first.
This woman, she's black, and she's a talk show host, and she took my job. She took my job. And she's like, Cecily, go to class. Just
I
go
like
to
your
class.
mom already. I like your mom already.
She's like, here I am thinking you're dying.
Cecily, are you through?
Yeah, right.
Go to class.
Go to class. Right.
Now go finish your graduation. Yeah.
So that is that moment when I'm thinking I'm going to be the first black talk show host, and freaking Oprah. And I say, Oprah, I'm going to write Oprah a letter and say, you ruined my life, Oprah. Not you didn't fix my life. You ruined my life. Let me tell you that.
Put it on YouTube.
On your heels.
Oh my God, yes.
On your heels.
But I had the opportunity, remember? And you weren't in Tampa. I'm sorry. I'm thinking you were in Tampa with me.
Orlando,
yes. So Oprah went on a tour, that whole tour that she would do, and she ended up in Tampa. And as an anchor,
you were there.
I was there, and I had the opportunity to ask her the question. So I'm around behind the red velvet rope with all the other anchors, and we had 2 seconds to ask a question.
I believe it.
So I had my question, and I was ready, and I got the question, and I got my picture. So, yay!
What was your question?
I don't even remember.
You should have tripped her.
I know. That's what I should have done. I wasn't fast on my feet.
I would have tripped her.
I'm like, oops.
Oprah, does this smell like
Sorry about that.
Does this smell like chloroform?
I'm taking over your job.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and Oprah's down.
And I'm here. I'm available.
Where's Oprah?
And I have the dress. Look, it's already on me.
Every time Oprah changed her hair, you can go back and look at video and pictures of me. Every time Oprah changed her hair, I changed my hair.
Did you?
So I would wear a scarf because Oprah wore the scarves. When Oprah had the big poofy hair, I did the big poofy hair. When she did the feathered cut and the flip, I did the feathered cut and the flip. So I was like, I love Oprah.
So she's more of a hero than she is someone who ruined your career.
Yeah, maybe that would just get her attention.
I think
it's like, hey.
I know her personally. I'll call her.
Can you call her up for me?
I will.
All right, help a sister out. Thank you.
Yeah, I will. No problem.
So there you go.
I wish I knew her. My house would be bigger.
I know, right? Right. So that is my Oprah
emanates
moment.
that love and that money.
She did pave the way quite a bit.
Yep.
And she did open the doors for a lot of people.
Women as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
The
absolutely.
empowerment, I look at what's happening right now. I grew up with my mother. My both of my fathers were there for me, but my stepfather was in Miami all the time. He worked in Miami, and my father, I saw him occasionally as well. So I was busy, and I lived with my mother so I had my mother's influence 24/7.
Yeah.
So my father's influence most of the time, but mom 24/7. So I see what's happening now, and I remember hearing about things that were happening to women, and I'm like, oh man, my mom wouldn't like that, or those are the things that happen to to bad people, not women. So I hear these things, and I'm like, now with the Me Too and with everything that's going on, it's long overdue.
It's so long overdue, and I will say. And I've been very transparent about this part of my life, that it's not so happy, but how Oprah influenced me in a way to bring about change at that crossroad that I had. And so, unfortunately, my stepfather was physically and sexually abusive to me, and our lives with Oprah, because I would watch her religiously, and I remember Oprah sharing her story about her sexual assault in her family, and how she handled it, and how she evolved from it and made herself better. And I remember her saying on one episode to write a letter. If you can't physically speak to that person about what they did to you, write a letter and write everything that comes out of you. Everything. So I ended up writing a novel. I wrote a novel,
put it out there.
To him, and I sent it.
Right.
And she says, once you send it, release it, because you may not
just
hear
let it
back.
go.
Let it go. Just know that they've read it and they know, right? And so that's exactly what I did. And
fantastic.
That really made a difference for me, because then when he actually called home to say he received the letter, I was like, I don't care. So what? And he's like, well, I apologize and whatever. And I'm like, all those things that you said that I was going to be, I'm not. And so it was almost like a release. And that was the crossroad for me to say, Secily, you are better than this.
Bigger than that.
Bigger than this. Okay? And so that empowerment, even then, back then, it wasn't a Me Too thing then. But she was, hey, it's Me Too. And yes, it's Me Too. So that's why I love Oprah. I'm like, she may have ruined my life in the beginning, but she has definitely changed my life.
And that's why I feel lucky over the years I've had, 4 great parents, because my family grew when my father remarried and my mother remarried. So, and they all got along. It was so nice. I talk about this with people. I'm very
the Brady
lucky.
Bunch?
It totally was. I was lucky. We didn't have a lot of money, but we crushed it with the family. We had a great family life. So when I hear about these things, it angers me. So I'm glad that you did that, and I'm glad that more people should try to do that, and especially. And another thing we were talking about the other day, and we were listening to Andre Bailey's podcast, which was about suicide, which is topical right now. And those are the types of things that you wish you could kind of figure out, I wish they would have crossroads like we've all had, which, but people are killing themselves. It's crazy.
Yeah, because they don't really know which way.
It's crazy.
Should I go here or do I go?
And it feels desperate,
Yes.
And Andre was talking about a moment that he was reading. I can't remember what the book was, but he was talking about a story about a guy who survived jumping off of the Golden Gate Bridge. Survived it. and he was as he went to jump, he literally regretted it the moment he jumped. So you wish, and more people probably have those moments. So you just wish that you could kind of find a way to.
But see, when he survived, that was his
crossroad. Let's be honest.
Literally, you have a second chance to do it right and do something different, right? So that's the crossroad that
it's unbelievable.
Unfortunately, it was that desperation that made him jump. But fortunately, God saved him.
Exactly.
When I look at the social media, I teach at a school, and I see students posting all the time. But there's this misunderstanding about social media. We feel like we're really connected with these people, when in reality we're not. We're not at all. And so when
we're more disconnected now than we ever have been.
Actually, we're more disconnected, and I think that's where the depression goes up with people, because the feeling is we are, but then we realize we're just alone.
And you're comparing your life to others and doing all these silly things that you just wouldn't do if you weren't. If you couldn't
that's the fastest. That is the fastest way into depression is by comparing yourself with everybody else. Right. That you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I had her hair.
It's horrible.
Oh my gosh, I wish I had her whatever. Right. No,
it's
but
crazy.
you're gonna like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not whatever.
Everybody's got demons. You know? Everybody does.
Yeah.
And I think as you get a little bit older, you start to put that into perspective. Most people, but I look at those things and I'm like, good Lord. Ansel and I, the other day, I have to tell this story. We're at this beautiful park in Jacksonville. And it was for her nieces, and got this new bicycle. It's a tandem bicycle, and the mother of her daughter, who's her niece is handicapped, is riding this tandem bicycle with her. It's first, this great moment. She wanted everybody to ride with her, so we go out there and we're all hanging out at this beautiful park. It's a beautiful day, and we keep seeing people looking down at their phones, walking around like zombies. Kid you not, like zombies, just head down. Hitting thing, nobody's talking to each other, heads down. Well, it was some game. What is that?
Where you have to find the little thingy?
The little thing. What is that called? Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Oh, Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be like they would take a break and sit down and enjoy things. No, we were there about an hour, nonstop, just like zombies. I said, my God. It was the weirdest thing I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I understand what they're saying. And at least they were walking around, let's be honest. But, I was like, that is so weird. And they're missing all of this stuff.
All of this wonderful, you're not present in the moment.
Right.
You're not present to even see this woman this child who is creating a moment in her life to say, good job, girl, do it.
There was a lady playing with her dog. That was the only one that was there getting it. Besides us, of course, we were riding the bike. But I was like, unbelievable.
I had a situation. We got together with my family one time at a restaurant. We all met, and we met in this one part of the restaurant was pretty big, so the entire table was taken up by my entire family. And at one point, I stood up and took a picture of the entire family because everyone had their heads down. They were looking at, and I sent the picture to everybody, and I said, so good seeing all of you. Because,
I love it.
It's like we all came here. We're so excited, and then we pull out our phones and share against them. I had a question for you. Oprah is evolved. As you look back at her earlier days, my wife was very addicted to Oprah, and if you look back at her earlier days, she has all these episodes where she wasn't that great at first, but she started to evolve into this amazing human being. Let's talk about your evolution. Let's talk about where you started and as you grew, what changed you?
Yeah, like Oprah, I was just really, I mimicked everything. I even lowered my voice, so whenever I went on the air, I was like, hi, I'm Secily
More professional,
Wilson. Right? Yeah. And so my coach was like, why are you doing that? Right? I'm like,
where did that come in?
Right? So finally I realized, evolve into Secily. You're not Oprah.
Good.
It's okay. Be Secily. That's who they want to see. That's who they want to hear.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. Then I started to evolve into who Secily is and really start to become my own woman and how I delivered the news and what really made me a little more personal. What I would always hear from interviewees is that, wow, I feel like I'm just talking to my girlfriend.
That's good. That's a good comment. Yeah.
That is what I really loved because, I wanted to make them feel comfortable and that they could trust me.
Of course.
And so that's kind of where that went. And then it evolved into where I was on the air in Orlando.
Man.
My dream job, thinking, okay, I want to do morning news because I'd been doing weekends and nights. And I'm like, okay, I want to do mornings because now I can really show my personality because I'm very bubbly. This is just me. I'm on 10 at 6 a.m. in the morning. So
you were.
Yeah, literally I was. And so literally it was that morning, and I think it was 2004, 2010. I can't remember the date right now. But that morning on the air, and it was, oh my gosh, she's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Blonde hair, morning anchor.
Oh,
It wasn't Jackie.
Oh goodness, I'm going.
Mother Lauren, thank you, Lauren. Sorry, Lauren. You know I love you, honey. It's the stroke, short-term memory loss.
But she had a stroke.
I had a stroke. I had two. Short-term memory loss. I know Lauren very, very well.
We all do.
So Lauren's on the air, and someone else is on the air, and they're tossing to me.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah.
The words wouldn't come out.
Wow.
They just wouldn't come out. And they're like, you're on. And ironically, it was another Crossroads. Ironically, a few months earlier in the month of February, it was our job to do stories around heart awareness. It was February, so it was Heart Month. So we all had to do a story on something relating to Heart Month. My story just happened to be the early warning signs of a stroke. And I interviewed a stroke survivor here in Orlando by the name of Valerie Green, whom I now call my stroke angel. So I did the story, and as we often do, we do the story, file it away, and we're off to the next one, right?
Yep.
That's it. That's what we do. That's our life. And so I didn't think anything of it. But I was also going through a divorce at the time. Felt like a stroke because it was very painful.
Very similar, I guess.
Right? It just breaks your heart. So I'm going through a divorce at the time. So all the warning signs that I experienced, I just dismissed.
Right.
So the repeated headaches, the slurred speech, the passing out, I just dismissed it as I'm just stressed. I'm getting up early in the morning. I'm on the air and I'm on all the time. I've got the babies at home, blah, blah, blah. Just dismissed it. But it wasn't until that crossroad when I could not speak. And because I'm a woman of faith, I credit it to the Holy Spirit, and the Lord said, okay, listen, I'm trying to get your attention, McFly. Right. McFly. Hello. Right? I'm trying to get your attention. And when that moment happened, I realized, I went to the desk, I pulled up the archive story of the stroke, and I'm looking, blurred vision, check, slurred speech, check, repeated headaches. I think I'm having a stroke. That was a defining moment for me because it literally was an opportunity for me. My voice was taken. This is my livelihood. I could not speak. And I'm like, I'm devastated. Thinking, oh my gosh, my career is going to end. Subsequently, the job hit a layoff. The divorce was finalized. I lost all my money because I was only living on the savings, fortunately, that I had. And then my home lost to foreclosure. It was a spiral downward of my life. And I'm like, how did I get here?
Happened?
What just happened?
What just happened? And it wasn't like I made poor decisions or did anything wrong. It was just life happening. A crossroad for me. And at that moment, I had two choices. I could stay and be a pitiful little girl. Why is this happening to me? Or decide to suck it up.
Take charge.
Keep it moving. And that's that crossroad. And it turned into something totally that I did not expect. And so I'm talking to a girlfriend on the phone about all of the clothes and the shoes that I had, and I had no place to put it because I don't have my big closets anymore because I just lost my house, right? And she's like, shut up. People like telling me to shut up.
You need a,
Really? My mom?
you need a shut up friend,
right?
though, don't you?
Right? You need a shut up friend. Really? It keeps things in perspective for you, right? So
Really? Really?
Right. Really?
My wife tells me to shut up too.
All the
It's all
time.
good.
She loves you. She
Calm
loves
down.
you.
Calm down over there. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Tura said, shut up, Cecily, and stop your whining.
Yeah.
All the shoes and the clothes that you're talking about, you have no place to put. I want you to go out and find a group of women in transition and give them. Give them away. And I'm like,
love it.
Again, what you talking about, Willis?
Yeah. My clothes.
Right?
Did I just tell you I don't have a house?
Right? I'm like, oh my gosh. She says, no. And when you give it away, watch God fill your hand back more than you even imagined. And I'm like, okay, another crossroads for me.
Yeah.
I could say, nah, that's not a good idea. I'm not going to do that one.
Like my clothes.
Right? I kind of like my clothes. Kind of like my Gucci. I'm good. Thank you. So, but I said, okay, you know what? Let's do something.
Yeah.
And so I've always heard this saying, in order to find yourself, you have to lose yourself in the service of others.
Right.
And I didn't really quite know what that meant until that moment in the crossroad.
Yeah.
When I started giving to other people, other women, and showing them, okay, we can do this, we can do this.
Yeah.
It has now transitioned me into an area that, because I was laser focused on getting to network.
Sure, yeah.
I'm like, New York, here I come, right?
Yep.
But no, that crossroad came where I'm like, either network or do something that's really meaningful. Not that media isn't meaningful, because it really is.
Yeah.
Right.
But when you think about helping another life, another individual who may be down on their luck for whatever reason, oh my gosh, that is so much more rewarding for me than I ever imagined.
Right.
And so that's where I am now, in the middle of this crossroads where I can make a difference in someone else's life or make a difference and try to do something with mine, right? And so I've been able to do both and feel very satisfied and fulfilled knowing that I'm leaving a legacy that's making a difference for another human being. So,
totally.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
I created my nonprofit. So that crossword was really good.
I was about to say,
and that's where we're going to go, is a nonprofit.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are probably happy that happened, sadly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you helped so many people. Tell us about your nonprofit organization.
So the nonprofit is called WOW, W-O-W, Legacy Group. And WOW is an acronym for my name, Wilson, which is my maiden name, or ORR, which is my former married name and the name of my daughters, and women, because it's now just me and my girls, my two daughters, Chrissy and Nicole. And because, again, as I said earlier, I'm a woman of faith, the Word of God says that a wise man will leave a legacy for their children.
Right.
And so this is a way for me to leave a legacy of community service, of giving back, of taking care of your sisters. You are your sister's keeper, your brother's keeper, and not just your blood sister.
Right.
I'm talking any sister.
Your human brother.
Your human brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what this is all about. And so we empower, educate, inspire, and transform the lives of women who are going through transition.
Love it.
And so it's not just women who are maybe suffering with domestic violence. It's women who have lost their jobs, women who have suffered with a heart disease or something, some medical issues, a woman who has recently divorced, any transition for a woman, because oftentimes, you guys probably may not realize this, but for women, when we are hit by an unexpected traumatic experience, it kind of paralyzes us.
Right.
And then we start to question, who am I?
Yeah.
That's
What
good.
am I worth?
Right.
I'm not good enough. And for me, it was that. Even though I was on TV all the time and coiffed and polished and all of those things, I thought I wasn't good enough to be a wife because I got a divorce. Maybe I'm not cute enough. Maybe I'm not smart enough. What is it? Okay, maybe I'm not good enough to be a mommy because we just lost my home. Where my baby's gonna go? So I question. I lost my job, so I'm not even good enough to be on the air. What is wrong with Cecily?
Right.
And so when I was very transparent and able to share that story with the women that are coming through, they're thinking, she's just like me.
Right.
she's just like me.
Can associate.
I can associate with her, right? She's very pretty. Okay, yeah, but because at first they were like, you don't know nothing.
Right.
You don't know you've never gone through anything.
You've never felt this.
You've never felt this.
You know
right?
what I mean?
Yeah, right. But that's when I'm able to be very transparent and say, we're here at a crossroads, ladies, we can do this.
All of us together, yeah.
All together. Yeah. We can choose to be here and stuck and stay here, or you can decide to do something different. And deciding could be ending a toxic relationship. Deciding could be starting your own business. Deciding to do something different. That's what we call fabulous. And so we have an annual event called Fall into Fabulous. And when life falls apart, our mantra is, when life falls apart, we fall into fabulous. And fabulous is less of the superficial exterior, but more of the decision to do something different. So if you take that one step at the crossroad, just one step, then you take two, then three, and before long, you're easing on down the road.
And you're doing it as perky as you are right now.
Yes.
Did you create this foundation out of lack of finding something for yourself?
Yes.
It
was totally.
Because that's what happened to my sister.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. She tried to find a place to put these people, and she couldn't. So that's what happened to you?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But I realized that if it happened to me, and I have a college education, and I have a professional background, and I have all the support around me, what happens to a woman who doesn't have that?
Right.
What if she doesn't have the college degree? What if she doesn't have a GED? What about that woman who is suffering and doesn't have family to say, girl, come on, we got this. We're going to do this. What about that woman? And so that's when I realized there's an area, a niche, that I can help another woman and say, we're here together. Let's cross the road and let's do it together. So it was out of a need. And so we are what we call our social safety net for women in transition, whatever color they are and whatever transition they're going through.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love it. And when we talked about it, I was just fascinated. I wasn't surprised because I've known you for a while now. And I had seen you at several events where, we kind of, got together, got to say hey again. But I wasn't surprised at all. But, as I look forward and think about some of the things that have happened to me, I had 2 strokes as well. And we talk about how you become fearless. Yes. Have you become fearless?
Yes. I remember the day that you called me. Yeah. No. I saw the posting on Facebook.
The video I did,
Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. Time out. Yeah.
I'm calling on the phone. I'm like sending him a message. I'm like, you call me right now, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
Right? And you told me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we've got to do something together because here you are, young, fit, well together. This is an old person's disease. It only happens to old people. Yeah. Not.
Right.
No, heart disease is the number 1 killer for African American women and Hispanic women.
And you told me that, and we're like, look, one of the things that, and I noted this when we talked about it, and something we still need to, take notice of. You said African American women are, it's more prevalent in African American women, and I'm like, oh my God, nobody knows this stuff. And so what I did is took on this little mini project in myself. And I told the story. I've told the story before, and I'll keep it brief. But what happened was I was running one day, felt this overwhelming sense of remorse, and I had no clue why. I'm like, I had a stroke. It wasn't that big of a deal. I made it through. I shouldn't be telling people anyway, because I know people that have suffered, right? We've talked about Mark's and yours and everybody else's transition. But then for some reason I went, well, wait a minute. There's people that are just like me that it may happen to, that don't know it can happen to them. Yeah. So I said, that's it. Done. Did the video, and probably almost every day since then I've talked to people about stroke prevention plans. Yeah. And there's something to that moment that these crossroads we talk about, but I literally have become fearless. It's a joke amongst my friends now that he'll say yes to anything now, and I will, because I'm like, I may not have 6 months left. You know what I mean?
right.
Let's do this. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So have you become fearless? I mean,
oh my God. Well, not become fearless, more fearless.
More fearless.
Yes.
There
I've always been very fearless.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but yeah. So I think I've become more fearless.
Good.
Resilient is the word that people have often described Secily as, because after going through all that I've gone through, I still wake up and I'm like, I got this. Yeah. I got this. Even now, I'm in the middle of a transition right now. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is only for a moment. Yep. Keep moving. Yep. Don't get depressed. Yep. It's going to get better. Yeah. And so that fearless attitude is really what we love to do. So yes. So our hashtag this year for Fall into Fabulous is I am who I am. I am fearless. I am fierce. I am fabulous. Love it. So it really, really kind of pulls that.
Perfect.
I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. Yep. Right. So why take an opportunity?
Well, none of us do. And that's the crazy thing. You know, we could be hit by a car tomorrow walking down the street. So we should live as if we were going to die. There's an actual famous song about that. Live as if you're going to die tomorrow, because you may not live, and then you've missed this moment.
And we say it superficially.
Yes.
And I used to say it superficially. Yeah. You know, because I'm trying to inspire or empower somebody, but I didn't live it. I live it now. Yes. No joke.
It changes you.
It does.
It literally changes your perspective on everything and every decision that you make. Even doing your podcast now, probably is an opportunity for you to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to do something different. Yeah. What the hell? Yeah. Let's do it.
Right. And this is why when I'm calling you, let's do the podcast next week. You ready to do it now?
Let's do it.
I don't hesitate anymore. No. And you know, I think that's important, and maybe I needed that. Like we talked about.
It's that push.
Right. It's a nudge.
Unexpected push. Yeah.
It's not a cool push, but you know what? I'll take it.
It works.
I'll take it.
It was funny because after I had the stroke, I remember Mark McEwen coming to visit me in the hospital, right? Yep. And it was just one of those things. And then I think a few months later, maybe even a year, I don't remember, but then he has a stroke. And they're like, what the hell is going on over there at Local 6? There's something in the water. And now here we are years later.
I had a stroke.
You had a stroke. Wow. I'm like, Local 6?
I'm not going to blame KMG, but
you're getting results, but I don't know.
This happens to one more person.
We're an expose. We're an expose at that point.
Right? So,
I love my KMG family, but
absolutely.
But honestly, that's what I immediately wanted to do, though, was call Mark, have a conversation with you guys to kind of
this topic is not spoken about very
not at all,
because oftentimes people think it's cancer. That's enough. Right. They do an amazing job with that and getting the awareness and trying to find a cure for that. God bless them, right? But we know that the number one, and this is all statistical data, so I'm not making this up, the number one killer of people, and especially African American and Hispanic, is heart disease. It's heart attacks and strokes. We are killing ourselves because of the things that we're eating in our bodies and the stress that we're taking on and being overweight and the diabetes. That we can control.
Right.
You know, that we can control.
Yes. You can do something about that.
You know, and I think one of the things that was cool about this conversation and why I'm glad we're having it is you can control those things. You know, so for example, as I'm talking to my friends about diabetes and high blood pressure and all that fun stuff, you know, months later you can be just as healthy as anybody else if you just kind of pay attention. But one of the things that I wanted to openly talk about was the hole in the heart situation, because people are born with holes in their heart.
What are how many?
You know, there's two different types. There's the ADS and there's a PFO, and the PFO is what I had, which is patent formative valve, and it's a function issue. It's nothing I could have controlled, and that's what baffled them. And what was interesting is when they were about to send me home, and you and I've had this conversation, same thing happened to you.
Exactly.
They were about to send me home, and Angel's like, no, there's a guy who does 80 miles a minute, just like you, and he can't text, he can't talk, he can't do anything that he normally does at half speed, much less full speed. So it was unbelievably frustrating, but she made me stay, and they found it out. They were frustrated. They couldn't find anything, and I'm sure that wasn't that the same situation with you.
That exact same situation
with your first stroke.
The first stroke they just attributed it to stress. And it's like, okay, you know, I'm a journalist. Right? So it wrote it off. And I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I'm like, okay,
right.
Well, maybe it is stress. Let it go. 10 years later, I have another one. And again, the same thing happened, but this time my face was like this.
Like Bell's palsy almost.
Right? And I'm like, okay, try not to panic, but I'm thinking something's
This
going
is
wrong.
serious, yeah.
So thank goodness my Angela was my mother.
Yep.
So I'm in the hospital, and my mom comes up from Jacksonville, and my sisters, and my mom said, she's not leaving this hospital until you figure out what's going on with her, because she is not getting out of here. Something is happening to her, and we want to know what. So she's not leaving, because they were trying to send me home. She's like, oh no, not happening. But it turns out I had a small hole in my heart.
You did too.
I did too, and they didn't catch it the first time. And so
that's why you had the second one.
And so that's why I had the second one, because the blood.
Well, 10 years later too.
10 years later.
Amazing.
10 years later, but it wasn't. The blood wasn't able to pass through the hole, and it was clotting, and the clots were being thrown to the brain. So now the
TAs,
and so the hole is now closed, and I'm on blood thinners until death do us part. And so that's how I maintain this. And so but something as simple as that, it's nothing that I did wrong, but it's something that I didn't even know I had. I'm like, I'm 50. I was 49 at the second one, so I was turning 50, and I'm 49.
Too young.
How in the heck did where did this hole come from? I never knew about a hole.
I didn't either.
So that was very eerie that our stories were the same,
aligned,
but the dynamic that here you are, a young white male, fit, active, and here I am, a young black woman, fit, active. How does this happen?
And it didn't make sense.
And it didn't make any sense.
Well, see, if the markers all say other things, then we just look at the people that, this is the old people, whatever. We don't even think about this. And then that's how you wonder. People go in the hospital, they get sent home, they die, and they go, well, something just happened.
No.
They don't attribute the fact that they were just in the hospital 2 days ago, and you guys missed it.
Exactly.
So, it's amazing now what they can do. They patched mine up. I feel great. I should be able to get off those stupid medications soon, which is nice. So, they're doing great things, but people need to know. It's that simple, and I think you and I and some of our other friends can really put some stuff together and make people aware. And we've already done it boots on the ground in a small fashion. So it's fantastic. So
hats off to you for taking that step at the crossroad and taking the road less traveled, and doing something different.
Exactly. Now, we're excited. And we're excited to have you today. And I think, I want to see where you're going next. What's next for you?
Oh my gosh. Good question.
And by the way, please end with how we can help you and your organization.
Thank you. I don't know what's next for me. I'm hoping what I would love the next to be is that Wow Legacy becomes a household name, much like Dress for Success. And so while we're here in Orlando with a grassroots effort, we're 6 years old. We're entering into our 6th year now. But I'd love for Wow Legacy and our Fall into Fabulous Empowerment program to go from city to city to city. So Jacksonville, New York, wherever there's a woman, there's a need for Wow Legacy and our Fall into Fabulous Empowerment program. So that's what we're looking for. So we are totally funded by donations and volunteers. And so the more donations that we have, the more women we can help. And we're not just helping the women, we're helping the women and their children. So it's a family effort, because when that woman is in whole and her right mind and her right space, then the children are not all jacked up and crazy, So it really is a matter that we're helping the family.
I love it.
So
and you're setting a foundation moving forward.
And setting a foundation, So that's, I think, what's next for me is to know that I can continue to grow and really make a difference and start my speaking tour and write my book. Those are the things that I have on my plate.
Well, make it happen.
What is your webpage where people can send donations?
www.wowlegacygroup.org. www.legacygroup.org.
wowlegacygroup.org.
And you need to meet my sister, because I think she's been at this for 10 years and she knows all the angles and she can talk to you about. So
absolutely, I've heard about Hope Help, so I definitely want to meet your sister.
We should make that happen.
So, and let me just before we go, I want to just let you guys laugh for a moment. This is will be my closing closing statement.
Leave us laughing.
Right. Because sometimes in life, when you're at that crossroad, you just have to laugh.
Oh, yeah.
You have to laugh. And so at the time that everything fell apart, it was like, I don't know what's going to happen to my life. But there was a Craigslist posting about the auditions for Family Feud. And I grew up watching Family Feud. I loved watching Family Feud. I even had the board game that my mom got me. And I realized that, here's a moment. Oh my gosh. I called every family member. I'm like, you guys send an email. They're going to have to answer one of us. All right. Everybody send an email. So they called us. They're like, okay, we got your email. We'd love for you to come out for an audition at Universal Studios. And I came. And that night of the audition, I literally had to, is that you? I had the audition, but I had a gala to host that evening. So I didn't have time to drive back home and get to the audition. And so I wore my purple and gold ball gown.
That's awesome.
Walking through Universal Studios, right, to the audition. Well, we were selected.
Picture of that?
I do.
Yes.
It's on my phone. I'll show it to you.
We'll put that on YouTube.
Right? So my family, we're walking through there. We get there. They selected us after we played the game. We played it to the T, and we get on there. So we went through 3 rounds. So this is what happened. Another crossword. I'm thinking, if I get to see Steve Harvey, then he can help me open up a door back into the industry, right? Because I was hitting a brick wall.
Right.
And so because we have our reel, that's how we do, I put my reel on mini disc, and I put the mini disc in my bra to cover my nipples. So on my dress, you
have a picture of that?
Yeah, right. Whoops.
Forget the other one. I want that one.
Right?
We'd rather see that one.
Right. So I put because I didn't have pockets, so I had to put the reels on. So I knew if I had a chance to talk to Steve, I would only have a second. I wouldn't have time to go back to my dressing room.
And you were going to whip him out, right?
So after the event, so we went through the fast money round. So this is the piece that you can Google and you'll see it. So my sister goes first on the fast money round, and she whips whopping 23 points.
Okay, so you needed to do some work,
right? Had to do some work. So I come out and Steve's like, "Okay, are you ready?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm ready." Okay, so we surveyed 100 men. Name something that's larger now than it was at the age of 16. I instinctively said, penis.
No hesitation.
No hesitation.
And then you whipped out your penis.
I'm like,
because that would have been perfect timing.
Right.
Yes.
Perfect timing, right?
Yes.
But I'm literally, he falls to his knees, right? And it's so funny. And I'm like, did I say something?
I hate to say it, but I think I saw that one.
There are memes for days, honey. Kevin, there are memes
That's
for days.
That's where I know that,
I'm like, this is crazy. So we got kicked off, right? So we were voted off.
Go home now.
Right? So it's time for us to go home. But only because we lost the game, not because of the word that I said.
Okay.
So after that, he's shaking the family's hand and he gets to me at the last one. And I'm like, Mr. Harvey, I'd love to talk to you. I'm in the business and I'm wondering if you could help me. I have something I'd like to show to you. He says, okay, well, you can give it to my assistant over here. I'm like, no. I have it right here. Bam! His eyes were like, whoa. Literally. I was like, okay.
That's so good.
Seize the moment. Seize that moment.
Because you don't get a
second chance.
No.
And so that was a crossroad. And unfortunately, he didn't really help me. But
it's not like he's doing anything.
Right.
He does everything.
Everything. I mean,
but I guarantee you, he still remembers you.
He remembers you.
Oh, he remembers me. Steve, you know what you said. You need to call me.
Ring me up.
There you go. Ring me up. My number's still the same.
Well, Cecily,
so there you go.
I can't tell you how much fun we've had today. This is a blast.
This has been very fun.
Yeah.
You're a blast.
Yeah, and
you know too.
What we'll do is we'll make sure that everybody gets your information, and they anything I can do to help you support your organization.
Mark your calendars for December 19th.
December 19th.
I think that's the Saturday, December 15th, 19th, whatever the Saturday is.
We'll post it in there.
Oops, I should know that, right? Save the date.
It's all good.
But that is the date for our annual Fall into Fabulous fundraising luncheon, and community leaders come out, and it's a wonderful time to see the transition of the women, and we celebrate them. So at the Hyatt Regency, Hyatt Regency Orlando on iDrive, it's an amazing opportunity. So you're going to love it. So we'd love to, guys.
We'll post all that information in the.
We will, and there's one last thing we want you to do.
Yes.
We want you to ask Alexa a question.
We're going to do that?
Ask Alexa section, yes.
Yeah,
Alexa.
this is a surprise.
You have Alexa right over there.
Hey, Alexa!
But you got to think of something that's interesting. What could you ask her?
So what would you ask Alexa if you... so let me give an example. Mark said something about... was it the capital of
Japan he came up with a
or
good
something?
one.
And it was crazy.
It was.
Because
it went on and on.
We just put you on the spot, so what do you think?
Oh my gosh, yes you did. Okay, let me ask
Just
Alexa.
so you know why you're thinking, we normally say at the beginning, think about this.
We surprised you.
And we didn't even let you do that.
We didn't even let you do that.
Yeah. Alexa, what does it mean to be at a crossroad?
Nice.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
That's the best answer. That's the best answer.
None of us know.
None of us know.
She nailed it.
There you
She
go.
nailed
That's it.
Good one.
That is great. That is classic.
That was good.
Yes.
Well, you broke Alexa.
Oh, I did.
Good. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hey,
It was a
you can come
pleasure.
back anytime.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to. You guys
Do
were
another
fun.
show. Actually, you know what we should do? We should have my sister and her here together.
We got another mic right here, so we'll just you just sit down and we'll make it happen.
The power of making a difference.
Yes.
The power of making a difference.
We've got a theme.
There you go.
love it.
That's it.
Done.
Because she's coming back anyway, so let's have Cecily back.
That's true. She's got to tell her other story that we got.
Her other story's amazing. We can tell you that real quick. She,
Yeah.
her son, she gave up for adoption when she was young.
Yeah.
And her son went on to become a band member, leader of a band. And he called her, and she'd been waiting every day for a phone call.
Yeah.
Phone call came in. He said, I'm in Key West.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing at a club down there. I'd love for you to come down and meet me. So I'm just going to give you the little bullet points.
High level.
She flies down. She gets down there to the club, and they have these. I call them cowboy doors that you open in Key West, and she opens the doors, and there he's perfectly lit on stage, and he's standing there, and she doesn't know what he looks like, and she sees him with his eyes closed, and he's singing, and he's barefoot, which is the way she's always sang. They've never met. Is that a great? That get you?
So Chrissy always sang barefoot with her eyes
with
closed.
her eyes closed.
Wow.
And she.
Oh my God.
So she stands there and she has a meltdown.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm tearing up right now.
I know.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yes.
I mean, I can only imagine a mother's love for their child that she unfortunately had to give up. And at that moment, that's my baby.
That's crazy, right?
That's my baby. Oh my God.
So she didn't lead with that.
She didn't.
She buried the lead.
That story.
She buried the lead.
Phil looks at me after we're talking the story, and I mention it. Phil goes, "Why are we talking about this?
Why are we talking about that? I love Hope Helps, but God,
that was the lead.
It's a game-changing story.
Yes, that was the lead. Oh, I cannot wait to meet Chrissy.
Yes. You two will get along so well.
Yay.
You have the same energy. Right?
And Chrissy happens to be my daughter's name, so
is that right?
I love Chrissy. Chrissy.
Oh, okay. Easy to remember.
We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. We'll have you back in the same time. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next episode of Crossroad.